Hi guys, so I just recorded a video which I'm going to upload after I record this, and in that video I talk about a dean I had an issue with in high school. Now I'm not gonna like give names because I just don't feel like giving names, just in case. But she was a dean there since I went to high school. I found out she used to be a counselor, which, God, I don't even freaking know how she could be a freaking counselor. She's like a, ugh. But one of my friends, who was a senior when I was a freshman, was like, she used to be a dean. I'm like, holy shit, how is that possible? Or the dean used to be a counselor, and I'm like, what? Now, real life friends, you guys know exactly what I'm talking about, and probably were there to experience it with me. I dressed differently, I guess, than people. You know, I was me. Um, I would wear short skirts. Now, not short to the point where it was inappropriate. I did have skirts that were too short for school, and I did not wear them to school. All my skirts, my mother would not let me leave the house if I was dressed inappropriately. So, I even had teachers, who had no issues with the way I was dressed. They'd be like, oh, you look interesting today, or whatever. They would give me not creepy compliments, but like compliment the way I was dressed or something. And so the dress code at our school was very like, if you're different, you get picked on. If you're not, who gives a fuck? My choir teacher was a very, very much strict with the dress code. If a girl was wearing a two-coat low-cut top, he would say something. And he never said anything to me about my skirts or anything. So I always thought, I must be just fine because Mr. May is not saying anything to me, He never said anything about the way I dressed that was negative. Pulled on my ear. So, this dean, she would literally stare at me. I should have. The first time she said anything to me was a skirt that kind of fit a little awkwardly, and sometimes it would kind of red out, and I stopped wearing it to school. Not because of her, because it was kind of uncomfortable. I still wear it though, but it was like a green kind of plaid. It had like a lace up kind of the front, like a tie, like a corset kind of lace up, and had some suspender thingies that hung off the side. And now when I learned after that I would wear my hoodies. Like I like guy hoodies. Hoodie was me, but they're really baggy and they make my skirts look even shorter. So now I wear girl like hoodies with short skirts in high school when I was in high school. But she said something. Oh, your skirt. She was polite though. The first time she's like, "Oh, your skirt's a little short, kind of like it in the back," and I'm like, "Oh, yeah, it does that. It's yeah." And I was wearing a longer hoodie like that, and whatever. It was the end of the day too, and I'm like, okay, whatever. So move on with it. And that was like my sophomore or freshman year. It was early on. Now I think it was my sophomore or junior year where it really started to blow up. I would wear skirts. I would wear skirts multiple times. I would wear the same skirt, of course. I wouldn't wear different. Like I wouldn't wear a skirt and then never wear it again. I wore different skirts. Like a red plaid one was one I particularly remember, and I loved it because it had like pockets. Like it had these pockets on. I still have it. It had little suspender thingies that hung, and but it had these pockets so I could carry my wallet in, on me, whatever. So yeah, and I remember like the 5 billionth time I ever wore it, she's like, "Oh, it's too short." Now I remember this was like, no, there are times she'd pick on me and but there was this time I was sitting at lunch with my group of people, and I was like, one of my other friends was sitting outside, and I'm like, okay, hey, I'm gonna go talk to this person real quick, say hey to them outside, and then I'm gonna go to class. I'll talk to you guys later. I stand up and I kind of turn really quick, and as I turned, my skirt kind of went up. I was now keep in mind, my skirts that are a little shorter, I always wear I would wear solid tights with them. So I'm wearing black solid tights, and she comes up to me or she does this whole like come here thing, and like she's like, "Your skirt is way too short. I can see up your skirt. When you turn there, I can see under your skirt." And I'm like, "Whoa, creepy." She literally like stared at me. She watched me until she saw me. Like I walked past her to get lunch, a couple times. She didn't say anything to me then. But it's as I get up to turn that she stares at me until I happen to turn slightly, and wind catches my skirt, and I'm like, excuse me, whoa. And I showed her. I literally showed her that my fingertip, the fingertip thing, I showed her. And she's like, it's too short. Don't wear it again. I think I've told you not to wear the skirt before. I'm like, whoa. So from then on, she would stare at me anytime I would wear a skirt, ever, like a dress or a skirt. She would stare at me, and it wasn't just like a, she kind of double glance at me, to double check, see if what I'm wearing is appropriate, but she would stare, and it was, like, inappropriate. Like, it was one of the things that's like, I'm not doing anything wrong, I'm just sitting with my friends, and it was creepy. And so, it got to the point where I went to talk to my guidance counselor. Now, I really like this counselor, and I've been, had her for a while, and I went and talked to her, and she told me that she said she's never seen me dressed inappropriately, ever. Now the biggest thing with me is, like, I told her, like, when she told me, like, that time to turn with my skirt, the first thing I told her is, like, there was a girl across the hall wearing, like, a tiny denim skirt, and there were girls wearing tiny denim shorts. Tiny. And I'm wearing a skirt that's totally fine. And she's like, and my counselor admitted, she's like, yeah, you know what? They do get lazy. They say, oh, we're going to do this, and they don't enforce it because they don't feel like having this whole big thing. So I look at it, and she's like, yeah, it is unfair that you are getting picked out of, picked on. And when I told her whole staring at me, and then when I told her, she said, about saying at my skirt, she gave me this look like, whoa. She looked at me, like, right away, like, that's not right. Like, whoa. And I know my mom tried to email this dean politely. My mom never got a response. She emailed whenever my mom knew I needed to talk to my counselor, she'd always email my counselor just in case I can't get to her. My mom would email her, so she knew I needed to talk to her in case, like, I didn't have time to run down there. But so she's like, yeah, I did get the email from your mom, and then she said she tried to politely email, and yeah, I talked to my counselor, and she assured me that nothing I ever wore was inappropriate, and yeah, she thinks the rules are unfair, that girls shouldn't get away with wearing teensy-weensy short shorts and short skirts, and she's like, you agreed that I always wear solid tights with them, so, if a situation happens, right, I think sometimes I even wear, like, shorts under my skirts, excuse me, but yeah, she emailed this dean, and this dean did leave me alone. Sometimes I catch her glaring at me, but she would leave me alone from then on. Ever since I talked to my counselor, she actually left me alone. And then I found out the year, after I talked to her about, I finally got fed up and talked to her my senior year. The year after, found out she doesn't work there anymore. I don't know if that's just a coincidence. She wasn't that old. She was, like, middle-aged, like a younger, not, like, young, but, like, probably the same age as my parents' kind of age. So she wasn't, like, retirement age. She was gone. Now, my friend Missy told me she had an issue with her one time Missy would wear a skirt, and she had the same issue, and of course, Missy's skirt wasn't too short. So, yeah, my friends would even say she was, like, a creepy, like, lesbian pedophile or something. I'm like, yeah, it was creepy. I'm like, this is not what, ugh. Yeah, and I'm just so glad she doesn't work there anymore. And she left me alone, but it was just weird like that. I had never had an experience like that before. It was so weird, and I'm glad that something was, it did happen. So if anyone else has had anything issue like that, like, it's one of those things, like, I knew the way I was dressed was appropriate, my teachers were fine with the way I dressed. My counselor was fine with the way I was dressed. Now, keep in mind, if you do get picked on, make sure you are dressed appropriately. I had skirts that I knew were too short to wear to school, and I didn't wear them to school because I knew that they were a little too short. I would never really get in trouble for, like, I have, like, one V-neck that I had to, like, it's too big, and I really don't wear it that often. It's it's a Tokyo Hotel one. And I never really got any issue with that, but yeah. If you have any issues with stuff like similar to me, talk to a counselor or like a teacher that you really trust or something, or like a teacher that whatever, you get along with really well, because trust me, there might be something weird going on. So yeah. I don't know if your school, like, the people who are kind of dressed different, whatever, the more alternative looking people always get picked on the most, which is annoying. But yeah, so let me know if you guys have any of the same issues, or if you think my situation is as creepy as I thought it was. Yeah. Sorry this ended up so long, but I really wanted to, like, vent about that. So, bye guys.